I didn't wake up one day and decide love sounded nice, or that marriage felt like the next step on a timeline. This isn't that kind of moment. This is the kind that comes after silence, after long nights where you sit with your own flaws and don't look away, after you've lost things you thought would stay, after you've learned that love isn't what makes your heart race, but what makes your soul finally rest. I've been a man who walked fast before, fast toward feelings, fast toward promises, fast toward dreams I wasn't yet strong enough to carry. And I paid for that speed because love doesn't reward urgency. It rewards presence. What I feel now isn't fireworks. It's something quieter, heavier, something that stays even when the room is dark and no one is watching. I'm not standing here because I need you to complete me. I've learned painfully that needing someone like that is unfair to both people. I'm standing here because I've done the work to stand on my own feet. And now I want to walk with you. I've seen what love looks like when it's careless. I've seen promises spoken too early, words used as comfort instead of truth. I've seen how easy it is to say forever when you haven't yet faced yourself. That's not what this is. This is me, calm and clear, saying something I don't say lightly. I am ready to make you my wife, not because life will be easy, but because I finally understand what it costs and I'm willing to pay it. It doesn't always arrive with certainty or music swelling in the background. Sometimes it shows up quietly, almost inconveniently, when you finally stop chasing it. The real truth about love, the kind that becomes marriage, is that it doesn't begin with emotion. It begins with clarity, clarity about who you are, clarity about what you've broken before, clarity about what you're willing to protect, even when it costs you comfort. I used to think love was about feeling chosen, that someone would look at me and say, "You're it." And somehow that would be enough to keep everything standing. But feelings don't hold weight on their own. They move, they change, they soften and harden with time, stress, fear, and disappointment. Commitment is what gives love a spine, and commitment is not romantic in the way people want it to be. It doesn't sparkle. It doesn't impress strangers. Commitment shows up in the ordinary moments no one posts about. It's the conversation you don't want to have, but have anyway. It's the pause before reacting. It's choosing understanding over being right. Most people fall in love without realizing what they're agreeing to. They agree to the joy, the laughter, the closeness, but they don't realize love also asks for accountability, emotional regulation, patience when attraction alone isn't carrying the weight. I didn't know this once. I confused intensity with depth. I thought passion meant permanence. I thought wanting someone badly enough would keep me from hurting them. It didn't. Because wanting someone is not the same as being ready for them. Readiness is quieter. Readiness is a man who has stopped running from his own shadows, a man who knows where he shuts down, where he gets defensive, where he disappears instead of staying. Love doesn't fail because people stop caring. It fails because people stop taking responsibility for the parts of themselves that sabotage closeness. Commitment is the decision to become safe for another human being. Safe doesn't mean perfect. It means predictable in your values. It means honest even when honesty makes you look small. When I say I am ready to make you my wife, I'm not talking about a ceremony. I'm talking about a daily posture, a posture that says, I will not weaponize my silence. I will not make you guess where you stand. I will not punish you for my unhealed wounds. Marriage, real marriage, is not built on chemistry. Chemistry fades when life applies pressure. What replaces it is character. Character is what stays when attraction is tired, when routines feel heavy, when stress has drained the color from the day. And character is forged long before commitment is spoken. I had to learn that love doesn't need a savior. It needs a partner, someone who walks beside you, not ahead of you, not behind you. Someone who doesn't disappear when things get uncomfortable. Commitment means you stop keeping one foot out the door. You stop secretly preparing an escape plan. You stop measuring love by how little it hurts, and start measuring it by how much you're willing to grow. That's a hard truth, because growth is uncomfortable. Growth exposes ego. Growth demands humility. Growth requires admitting you don't know everything, even about yourself. I've been the man who thought love should feel easy all the time. And when it didn't, I questioned the relationship instead of questioning my expectations. Now I know better. Love is not meant to be easy. It's meant to be meaningful. And meaning always costs something. Sometimes it costs pride. Sometimes it costs comfort. Sometimes it costs the version of yourself that no longer fits where you're going. Commitment is saying, I will stay present even when my instincts tell me to withdraw, because withdrawal is the silent killer of relationships, not anger, not conflict. Distance, unspoken disappointment that grows quietly because no one had the courage to speak gently and early. Love requires courage, not the loud kind, the kind that sits across from someone you love and says, I'm struggling and I don't want to hide it from you. The truth is, commitment is not about protection. It's about protection, protecting the emotional space between two people, protecting trust when temptation appears, protecting connection when life tries to pull you into separate corners. And protection requires discipline. You don't drift into a strong marriage. You build it intentionally, day by day, choice by choice. Commitment is waking up and choosing the same person even when your feelings are neutral, because feelings come and go, values stay. I don't promise you a life without pain. Anyone who does isn't being honest. I promise you presence. I promise you effort. I promise you a man who understands that love is not about winning arguments, but about preserving connection. I've learned that love is not proven by grand gestures. It's proven by consistency, by being the same man in private that I am in public, by keeping my word when no one is watching, by choosing restraint over impulse. Commitment is realizing that love isn't about how intensely you feel, it's about how responsibly you behave. It's knowing that your actions today shape how safe someone feels tomorrow. And safety, real emotional safety, is what allows love to deepen over time. Without safety, love stays shallow. With safety, it grows roots. I want roots with you. Roots that don't break when the wind picks up. Roots that hold when seasons change. I don't want a love built on illusion. I want one built on truth. Even when truth is uncomfortable, especially then, I know I'm not perfect. I know I'll still stumble, but commitment means I don't disappear when I do. It means I repair, I reflect, I return. Marriage is not about finding someone who never disappoints you. It's about finding someone who takes responsibility when they do, and being that person in return. I've learned that love isn't about being understood all the time. It's about trying to understand again and again, even when it's hard. Commitment is patience practiced daily. It's learning your partner's language instead of insisting they speak yours. It's listening to respond, not to defend. It's choosing compassion over ego. When I say I'm ready, I mean this. I'm ready to stop running from discomfort. I'm ready to be accountable for my impact, not just my intentions. I'm ready to love in a way that leaves you steadier, not guessing. I don't want to promise you perfection. I want to promise you effort with integrity, the kind that shows up on ordinary days, the kind that stays when things feel heavy, the kind that understands love isn't something you fall into, it's something you stand for. And I'm standing here now, not swept away, not intoxicated by fantasy, grounded clear, present, ready to choose you not once, but every day that follows. There's a moment in every serious relationship when love stops feeling new, not broken, not wrong, just familiar. And for many people, that's where fear quietly enters, because we're taught to believe love should always feel like discovery, like butterflies, anticipation, the thrill of being chosen again and again without effort. But real love doesn't disappear when the excitement fades. It changes form. And that transformation requires healing. Healing isn't something you do once and move past. It's something love asks you to practice again and again, especially when old wounds get triggered by new situations. No one comes into love clean. We all arrive carrying histories we didn't ask for, disappointments that shaped us, losses that hardened certain parts of our hearts, moments where trust was broken, sometimes slowly, sometimes all at once. The danger isn't that we're wounded. The danger is pretending we aren't. Unhealed pain doesn't stay quiet. It leaks into tone, into distance, into assumptions we make without realizing we're making them. It shows up when a small disagreement feels bigger than it should, when silence feels threatening instead of neutral, when we brace for abandonment even when none is happening. Healing in love doesn't mean your partner fixes you. That's a burden no one should carry. Healing means you take responsibility for knowing your wounds and communicating them with honesty instead of letting them control your behavior. Forgiveness begins there, not with grand apologies, not with dramatic reconciliations, but with the courage to say, "This hurts more than I expected, of something I haven't fully healed. I need time, but I won't disappear." Forgiveness isn't forgetting, it's remembering without letting the past decide the future. And that's hard because pain has a memory. It remembers tone, timing, words said too sharply or not said at all. Forgiveness asks you to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it, to stay in the room emotionally when your instinct is to shut down or strike back. I used to think forgiveness was about strength. Now I know it's about humility. It's admitting that the person you love will hurt you sometimes, not because they want to, but because they're human. And you will hurt them too. The difference between love that lasts and love that fades isn't the absence of pain. It's how two people respond to it. Choosing someone daily means you don't keep score. You don't collect mistakes like evidence. You don't weaponize the past when you're angry in the present. You address what happened clearly, calmly, honestly, and then you let it rest. Because unresolved doesn't protect you, it isolates you. Healing is not linear. Some days you'll feel open, generous, grounded. Other days an old wound will ache for no obvious reason. Choosing someone daily means you don't punish them for what someone else did. You don't make them pay debts they never owed. You allow them to be who they are, not who hurt you before. That takes discipline and patience and a kind of self-awareness that most people never slow down enough to develop. Love asks you to notice your reactions before you justify them, to pause and ask, is this about now or is this about then? That single question can save years of misunderstanding. Forgiveness is not silence. Silence is avoidance wearing a calm face. Forgiveness speaks. It says, this matters to me. This hurt, but I want to work through it, not around it. There's a difference between peace and numbness. Numbness feels quiet, but it's empty. Peace feels steady, even when things aren't perfect. Choosing someone daily means you don't chase the feeling of love. You practice the behaviors that create it. You show up when it's inconvenient. You listen when you'd rather defend. You apologize without adding explanations that soften your responsibility. You learn how your partner experiences love, not how you prefer to give it. Healing also means learning when to let go of control. Many people confuse control with safety. They manage outcomes. They predict reactions. They guard themselves by staying one step ahead emotionally. But love doesn't grow in control. It grows in trust. And trust requires vulnerability. Vulnerability doesn't mean oversharing. It means allowing yourself to be seen, especially when you're unsure. Choosing someone daily means saying, I don't have this figured out, but I want to figure it out with you. It means staying curious instead of judgmental. When conflict arises, curiosity asks, what's really happening here? Judgment asks, who's wrong? One builds connection, the other builds distance. Healing in love also means grieving the versions of yourself you can't be anymore. The single version, the guarded version, the version that didn't have to explain their silence or consider someone else's nervous system. Marriage requires a softer strength, a willingness to be affected. Another person matter enough to change you. That's not loss, that's growth. Forgiveness doesn't mean tolerating harm, Boundaries are part of healing. Choosing someone daily doesn't mean abandoning yourself. It means showing up whole, not self-erased. Healthy love allows space for individuality. It doesn't demand you disappear to prove devotion. It asks you to integrate, to bring your full self into the relationship with honesty and care. Healing happens when two people become emotionally literate together, when they learn to name feelings instead of acting them out, when they create rituals of repair, small, consistent gestures that restore connection after tension, a hand held after an argument, a quiet check in before sleep, a willingness to revisit a conversation instead of pretending it didn't matter. Love deepens in those moments, not in perfection, but in repair. Choosing someone daily also means accepting that some days will feel ordinary. Love doesn't always feel profound. Sometimes it feels like grocery lists, tired evenings, and shared silence. But there's something sacred in that ordinariness, because it means you're building a life, not chasing a feeling. Healing teaches you patience. Forgiveness teaches you grace. Choosing someone daily teaches you endurance. Together, they form the foundation of a marriage that doesn't collapse when reality arrives. I don't promise I'll never make mistakes. I promise I won't hide from them. I promise to repair, to listen, to grow, even when it's uncomfortable. I promise to choose you not because it's easy, but because it's meaningful. It doesn't announce itself with declarations or dramatic promises. It doesn't need witnesses. Loyalty lives in choices made when no one is watching. It's what you protect when you could easily justify crossing a line. It's who you defend in rooms they're not in. It's the integrity you carry even when temptation looks harmless. Most people misunderstand loyalty. They think it means never looking at anyone else, never feeling curiosity, never noticing beauty beyond the person they love. That's not loyalty. That's denial. Loyalty is awareness paired with restraint. It's recognizing attraction and choosing not to feed it. It's understanding that commitment doesn't eliminate desire, it disciplines it. Because love that lasts is not built on the absence of temptation. It's built on the presence of values. Respect is where loyalty takes form. Respect is how you speak when you're tired, how you disagree when you're frustrated, how you carry someone's vulnerabilities when they're not around to protect themselves. You can't claim loyalty if you speak carelessly about the person you love. Disrespect, even in subtle forms, erodes trust. Sarcasm, dismissiveness, silence used as punishment. These aren't small things. They teach someone how safe it is to be open with you. Emotional maturity is the ability to notice your impulses without being ruled by them. It's the space between feeling and action. And that space, small as it seems, is where healthy love lives. An emotionally mature man doesn't react immediately. He reflects. He asks himself, why does this bother me? What am I actually feeling here? Is this about the present moment or something older? Most conflict isn't about what's happening. It's about what it touches. Unmet needs, old fears, unspoken expectations. Emotional maturity means you don't outsource responsibility for your inner world. You don't expect your partner to regulate your emotions for you. You learn how to sit with discomfort without lashing out or shutting down. Loyalty is consistency of character, not perfection. Consistency, being the same man under pressure that you are at ease. Marriage doesn't reveal who you are. It amplifies it. Whatever patterns you avoid addressing will grow louder with time. That's why emotional maturity isn't optional. It's foundational. Respect also means honoring differences. You won't always think the same. You won't always feel the same. You won't always want the same things at the same time. Love doesn't require sameness. It requires curiosity. Instead of asking, why are you like this? You ask, help me understand. That question alone can de-escalate years of conflict. Loyalty means staying aligned even when you're not in agreement. It means remembering you're on the same team, even when emotions are high. Marriage isn't about winning arguments. It's about protecting connection. You don't raise your voice to feel powerful. You lower it to feel connected. Emotional maturity shows up in restraint, in choosing words carefully, in knowing when to pause a conversation instead of forcing a resolution while emotions are raw. Timing matters. Not every truth needs to be spoken immediately, but every truth needs to be spoken eventually with care. Respect also means honoring boundaries. Love without boundaries becomes suffocating. Commitment doesn't mean access to every thought, every moment, every emotional process in real time. It means trusting that space doesn't equal distance. An emotionally mature relationship allows room for individuality. Two whole people choosing each other, not two halves clinging out of fear. Loyalty means protecting the relationship from subtle erosion, not just obvious betrayals, but emotional leakage, confiding deeply in someone else instead of your partner, seeking validation outside when intimacy feels strained inside. These things don't happen suddenly. They begin with small justifications. Emotional maturity recognizes the slope before it becomes steep. It chooses transparency early. It chooses course correction before damage occurs. Respect is also how you handle power. Every relationship has moments where one person needs more support. Emotional maturity doesn't exploit that imbalance. It doesn't keep score or use vulnerability as leverage later. It treats trust as sacred, because once trust is fractured, love works twice as hard to stand. Loyalty is choosing repair over ego. It's apologizing without defensiveness. It's listening without preparing your rebuttal. It's admitting fault without minimizing impact. An emotionally mature man understands that intentions don't erase consequences. If someone you love feels hurt, the feeling matters, regardless of what you meant. Respect says, I hear you. I take this seriously. I care about how my actions land. Marriage asks you to become fluent in repair, not perfect communication, but honest repair. Because conflict is inevitable, disconnection is inevitable. What's optional is neglect. Loyalty is not staying no matter what. It's staying while actively choosing growth. It's knowing when to lean in instead of pulling away. Respect is remembering that love is not ownership. Your partner is not an extension of you. They are a separate person choosing you freely. That choice deserves care. Emotional maturity is staying grounded when emotions surge, not suppressing them, not exploding with them, but allowing them to pass through without causing harm. This takes practice and humility and patience with yourself. I don't promise I'll always get it right. I promise I'll always take responsibility when I don't. I promise to protect what we build, not just from others, but from my own blind spots. I promise to choose loyalty in small moments, not just big ones, to speak with respect even when emotions run high, to keep growing even when growth feels uncomfortable. Because love that lasts isn't dramatic, it's deliberate. It's built quietly, day by day, by two people who understand that emotional maturity is not a destination.